I don't think you can overestimate the impact of losing a partner, especially if you've got kids. The impact on them is traumatic. He died 17 years ago. We still talk about him all the time. My children still feel the loss. The trauma's still there. So I think the Queen Mum said, you don't get over it, you get around it. You learn to behave better. And my mother said of me, when she was asked how I was coping, she said Esther copes because she has to cope. And I think for me, that was a help, that I had to keep the structure of my life going. My kids still needed, they were going through their education, they needed support. I had a job to do, I had to carry on doing that. And that was helpful, it was a distraction. But it doesn't take away the loss. In a way, I think Desmond remains an inspiration to me. I think it was losing him and being on my own that inspired the creation of the Silver Line. I don't think I would have understood about loneliness if I hadn't lost him. So it's not worth it, much as I love the Silver Line. I'd prefer to have Desmond here with me. But he is still inspiring me. And I think that's the thing about the memories of someone you love, that they do become a motivating force the rest of your life. A friend of mine, Bob Lowe, who is one of our Silver Line champions, uses the loss of his wife as a passport to telling groups, community groups and so on, about the Silver Line. So she's inspiring him. I think a lot of people find that. In some ways, I think it's almost worse if the partnership has not been good. I have a friend who lost a husband who was violent. And that's terrible, because for some reason, the guilt and the blame get all mixed up with the pain, and she's taken it all on herself. And I think that's really hard. I think we do have to ask for help. And I do think that's why this is such an important resource. We do all need someone alongside us. And so while I disapprove of rules and I disapprove of advice, I think everybody has their own needs and their own wishes. I would recommend you try reaching out to maybe a stranger, maybe someone in your family, or someone who's been through the same experience. It's very hard to reach out to your family sometimes, because you think they've gone through the same loss and you're burdening them with your pain. I understand that. But I do recommend reaching out. This is an old-fashioned thing called a photograph album. These days things are stored in clouds, but actually I think flicking through the pages of these brings back very happy memories. I've got my parents in there. I've got my 2 weddings, very unoriginally, to the same man. Married Desi first in 1977, and the second time he converted to Judaism, so we had a synagogue wedding in 1998. That's in 1977, and this is 1998. There's a lovely picture here somewhere of Desi and Rebecca when she was tiny. There we are. Fabulous. He was a very devoted father. And then my mother, looking very proper. She wasn't always proper. And there's the whole family. 3 children, Desi and me, and the dog. Desi and the dog no longer with us. I think it is difficult if you're still feeling the loss so deeply and it keeps you awake at night. I, in my own life, have tried to remind myself how lucky I was to have those memories. But loss is very intense. And I play Scrabble on my phone. I'm not suggesting anyone else should follow my example, but that's what I do. And I listen to the radio. And I put it on snooze, so that isn't still going when I wake up. I'm not sure if that's useful advice. You probably know more than that, but that's what I do. I think the Good Grief Trust is filling a real gap in provision because people don't know where to turn. And everything seems to be in different categories. And it's so good to have an umbrella place where people who've lost someone and those working with bereaved people can actually have a look and see what the choice is. I think it's really crucial.